Press the bell icon on YouTube and don't miss another update.
Underscoring the importance of early education, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led government has come up with a special proposal to include the 0 to 6 category of children or the pre and play school category of children into the formal education system, essentially making education for them compulsory as well. This is a special story broken by our reporter Kritika Sharma, and that's what we are discussing in Government Matters today with me, Ruhi Tiwari. Kritika, who covers education for us, is in the studio today, and do log on to theprint.in, as I mentioned, to read her exclusive story. Kritika, thank you for joining us. As I've said, you've done this, you've broken a story about how there's a proposal to integrate the 0 to 6 category into the formal education system. Now, we already have the Right to Education Act, which applies to children from 6 to 15 years of age, providing for compulsory education.
Yes.
What is this new proposal all about? Will the 0 to 6 age category be also now included in the Right to Education Act?
Sure. Ruhi, so right now play school or preschool is a category which starts from 0 to 6 years. Essentially 0 to 3 years is an age where kids go to play school, and 3 to 6 years is a age which is considered for preschool.
Right.
The 0 to 6 years age category right now is not a part of the formal education system. The formal education system essentially begins from 6 and it goes on till 14-15 years of age, which is the in government parlance. But now what they want to do is include this 0 to 6 years of age group also in the formal education system, so that kids can receive education at early years in their lives.
Right. So will the 0 to 6 category be also included in the Right to Education Act?
So there's a catch there. Not the entire 0 to 6 years category will be included in the Right to Education Act. The 3 to 6 years age category, which is called the preschool category, in the age where kids go to nursery, KG1, KG2, these classes, that will be included in the Right to Education Act. So it will essentially extend from 3 to 15. The right to education, once it's amended, will extend from 3 to 14 years or 14 or 15 years of age.
Right.
But the 0 to 3 years category, which government has found is very critical for education, will be a part of the compulsory education schooling system.
Right.
Which means kids who are starting out to go to school will have to go to play school also.
Right.
Yeah.
So, as you mentioned, this is, the plan is to do so. The rationale is because early education is important and kids should not be left behind from early education. But what is the basis of this proposal? There must have been some studies that were commissioned.
Sure. So, I'll read out from a study, it was a government study which they have quoted in their policy proposal. So, they're saying that the learning process commences early, and there is evidence that 85% of a child's cumulative brain development occurs prior to the age of 6. So this is the age group that they want to tap on early in a child's life, because a lot of brain activity development happens in the early years, like 0 to 6 years of age group, which is why they want to do it. Also, they say that kids who don't start out that early are most likely, in most of the studies that have happened, they tend to stay behind throughout their school years. So, which is the reason that they want to tap onto this age group now, and this whole plan is Early Childhood Care and Education Plan. So, which is the early childhood curriculum that they want to develop.
Right. So just to remind our viewers that this 0 to 6 category, there are, according to the 2011 census, there are about 15.87 crore children in that category, which is around 13% of the population. So that's a huge block. It's a very significant block, which is what makes this proposal so important, and that's why we are discussing it today. Kritika, we've seen that there are play schools and preschools in existence even now, and that's mostly, however, restricted to urban centers, urban areas. So is that a reason? Because there is a slight lopsided aspect to it, when you compare urban and rural areas when it comes to early education.
Yeah. So Ruhi, definitely play schools are mostly, it's like an urban concept. Mostly, parents in cities send their kids to play school, probably because they're working, they want their child to be engaged in some kind of an activity. So play school also doubles up as a creche.
Right.
The concept, however, is not completely missing from rural areas, because kids in rural areas also go to Anganwadi centers.
Right, which also serve as creches.
Yeah, which also serves as creche. But in Anganwadi centers, the role of Anganwadis currently is mostly restricted to giving, food to the child, or, kids who are coming from that kind of a background who cannot afford a meal, their mothers take them to those centers and they get meals. But the idea here is to make an Anganwadi work as a play school.
Right.
So the Anganwadi, obviously it will do its essential job, which is of providing nutrition to the child, care to the child, and working as a creche. But it will also have trainers and teachers who are going to teach kids basic cognitive skills, maybe how to speak, how to recite a poem, how to count, and all those things. Things that a child essentially learns in a play school in a urban center. So that's the idea.
So Kritika, there must be some plan in place, because this is quite an ambitious proposal, as it were. So you've mentioned one which is about integrating Anganwadis with schools, but what is the roadmap? What are the various what is the structure that they have planned?
Yeah, sure. So one of the ways in which the government wants to do is integrate Anganwadis with schools. Like a lot of rural areas have Anganwadis, so they want to integrate Anganwadis with proper schools. Also, they want to train teachers and trainers who are going to be teaching these kids in Anganwadis, and in centers, small towns, or 2-tier, 3-tier cities where there aren't any play schools or preschools, they also plan to open preschools.
Right, so that was going to be my question, that so does the government plan to open play schools and preschools, or open these classes in existing government schools?
Yeah, so like you said some time back, that this is an ambitious plan and the government wants to go all out about it. So yes, there is a plan to also open play schools and preschools, not play schools exactly, preschools of their own, so that they can be integrated with the formal school. In fact, they're really serious about the early childhood education, which is something that they have found out from the Niti Aayog proposal also. So Niti Aayog also mooted a proposal some time back to start education in early years of a child, so that the cognitive development happens fast.
Right.
So the government is serious about it and they want to go all about it and do whatever they can right now. That's the plan.
Has the NCERT been roped in, because we will need textbooks and there would be a curriculum that would be needed?
So yeah, so Ruhi, right now the plan is that the government has already approached NCERT and they are working on a plan for 0 to 6 years of age group, and this curriculum is going to be for teachers, trainers, parents, and also the kids who are going to study, because right now we don't have any curriculum that caters to 0 to 6 years of age group. So it's going to be a new thing, and NCERT has already started working on it.
Right.
Yeah.
Kritika, you've covered education for so long, you track the ministry closely.
Yeah.
Is this a feasible proposal?
Yeah, sure. So like I said, right now they are serious about it and it is an ambitious proposal. So they are trying to go all about it and do whatever they can. It is feasible in the sense that we already have Anganwadis existing, we already have preschools, and there are already play schools functioning. The whole idea is to integrate all these things together and make them a compulsory, mandatory part of the education system, so that things can fall in place and it can automatically become a part of the formal education system. But in order to make things work well, the ministry is working with the Women and Child Development Ministry and Health Ministry, so that things can be smoothened.
Right, so it's a more integrated approach. So just finally to ask you, what do experts have to say? I'm sure you've spoken to experts about this proposal. What are education experts, what are their views on this?
Yeah, so education experts are pretty positive about it, because early childhood education is something that most of the experts have been talking about, but which is it's something that government could never pay attention to earlier. They were only restricting themselves to Anganwadis and providing meals to kids in schools. But yeah, this is what activists had been rooting about. So they are pretty positive about it.
Right. So, well, it's basically enlarging the scope of the concept of equality, because the Right to Education Act is also about equality, providing equal opportunities. And I suppose now they want to expand it to early childhood as well. Thank you so much, Kritika, for joining us in the studio today. As I mentioned, do log on to theprint.in to read details of this story which has been broken by Kritika. And thank you so much for watching Government Matters.